How's it going, YouTubers? Electron Man. Well, we're at it again. I don't know if you saw my last CB repair video, but I told you this little Teaberry Scout was going to be my next one to take a look at. So here we go. It's a little old 23 channel. What I found out so far in powering it up is that it does power up. It hasn't like been wired up backwards or anything, but it doesn't have any receive or transmit. Again, you know, it's weird. The first 3 or 4 radio pilot I went through, it seems like it was like every time it was somebody hooked up backwards and it was a diode. Then I went through a couple of them, loose connections, bad caps, and everything, and here in the last 2 or 3 of them, it's been the same kind of symptoms. Is that basically radio powers on, has no receive and no audio, but it will transmit. And so I know my output circuit is good as far as my finals, but I'm not getting any audio mix in it. By the way, on these videos, I no way claim to be an electronic expert. I no way claim to be a pro at this. I do this on the side. I'm just giving you my terms, and they're probably not even correct. I'm probably not, using them in the right terminology. This is kind of the way I explain it as I'm going along. When I'm ejecting a signal, that might be confusing with me using an oscilloscope. Basically, what I'm talking about there is really all I'm trying to do is when I go through and I say I'm ejecting a signal and tracing back, is really, you could use voltage too. I just use an oscilloscope. But what I'm really looking for is open connections. A shorted out capacitor, it's not going to find that. I can name several things that it's not going to find, but a lot of the times I find on these repairs that typically it's a bad solder joint, an open joint, a failed resistor, and then of course if you got a burn resistor, then you get in a whole nother ball of wax as far as what caused it to fail. You got to trace that back. Obviously, probably a cap shorted out or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into the woods. I just don't enjoy these videos for what they are. I just kind of like getting on here and chatting with you guys, and as I do these repairs, just kind of talking through what I'm doing and what's in my thought mind. As far as testing, signal testing. I don't know where it's at. I've got a little. Basically, all it is it's a loop of wire, insulated wire on the end of a BNC, and I will hook it up to like my freak counter, and from that I can do a passive RF detection, and that's real good if you're dealing with high voltage or you don't want to touch components, and it's real handy like just to see if if you got a radio that's oscillating. It's a core frequency. It's 10.24 whatever. Oscillator crystal, so you could put that inductance right next to it, and you should see it should be oscillating that. If it's not, then right there you've got a problem with the receive circuit or the IF circuit. So anyway, I do have some fancy equipment, and I utilize it the way it's handy for me. But I don't mean for this video to be a 20-minute video about me and my electronics, but I just basically want you to know I'm not a teacher, and I'm just using the terms that I feel comfortable with trying to explain this stuff. When I went to school, I went back to the electronics school back in 1984, so a lot of the digital circuit stuff wasn't even invented back then. A lot of it still was. We had solid state and everything, but it's come a long ways, obviously. Back then, I think the pager was the craze, if that gives you any idea on how far we've leaped forward. SMD technology or surface mount technology was really not even existent then, or very for very high price stuff that typical consumer wouldn't use. But anyway, what was I telling you? I guess to tell you how dated I am as far as how long ago it was, but that's kind of where I got my core understanding of electronics. And by the way, I am no expert. I took a AC circuit analysis, a DC circuit analysis, and a circuit theory, and I had about 4 or 5 courses. I don't have a degree in electronics. Actually, I have a degree in computer science, but I did get a good grasp for kind of how circuits work, and I like using the theory of water. Water and electrons, they both flow through pipes, and it's a good way to explain things. But like I said, I'm not even going to start trying to get these videos into giving you detail. There's plenty of other videos out there, or guys out there. In fact, I think of one, Mr. Carlson's Lab, I believe is the name of it. That dude he's forgotten more than I've ever learned. I mean, I sometimes struggle with reading a schematic. This dude's creating schematics. So, kind of give you the level. So, I guess you could say I'm a redneck with some test equipment, and I get by best I can with just some logic and simple understanding of how electronics work. And I know what to do and not to do. And, you know, obviously, anytime you're in any of this type of stuff, be safe, don't get electrocuted. These CBs I'm working on right now, I'm pretty lax with them because they're 12 volt. I really nothing inside of here is, I mean, I'm not going to get shocked if I put my hand in here. So there's no major risk there. There is a risk of obviously shorting something out and burning another component up and that type of thing. But anyway, let's get back to this repair. I've rattled on too long. Anyway, like I said, I got no receive audio, and I do hear a click when I turn it on, but I don't get any audio. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my old oscilloscope and just basically I'm just tracing the signal just to see. And I'm going to start. This one uses crystal and mechanical ones. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of hit these and see if I got any signal. Okay, I've got signal there, which with this selector switch, I'm guessing if I change the channel, yeah, it goes away. So logic tells me that's going to go from there over to one of these two mixing crystals and oscillate out. So and we'll see which one it goes to. Well, that's interesting. Wow. Usually I turn off the video and come back, but wow, this is the first place I went to on this, and I see a definite problem here. If I'm reading the switch right and looking at it right, because you're gonna have a multiple, it's gonna pick one of these, and then it's gonna pass it over to one of these. And that's going to be your missing circuit. And what I'm seeing is right now, that's my active detent on my switch. But I should have, one of these should be active. And like I said, I'm circuit tracing. I'm not seeing any output at all on any of those. And these two look like they've soldered. It looks like it's almost been repaired before. And like they replaced a crystal and they just folded it over and tacked it. It doesn't have the, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has different soldering. I'm going to go ahead and solder them up better to start with, just from exposure. I told you, a lot of times on this, I tell you, your hands and your eyes and your sensories can do a lot for solving CB problems. Looking for bad cold solder joints, temperature, feel around on it, feel if you got anything that's getting hot. That'll obviously tell you that you've got a short somewhere. Typically, that's probably going to capacitor that's went to short, and it's causing a dead short to that component. And then like visual here, that's just dirty. I mean, that's not a clean solder joint. So let me solder those up real quick. Power off the radio here. Turn on the soldering iron and go ahead and at least clean those two. I don't like those. I see a couple other cold solder joints I'm going to do. It looks like somebody's definitely been in here before. But anyway, let me solder those up and see if that makes any difference. I'll be back as soon as the soldering iron heats up. I forgot to turn it on, so I got to wait about 5 minutes for that thing to heat up. Whoops. Stay stable there. Okay, I went in there and I cleaned these up and resoldered several different connections in there that I didn't like, that looked kind of suspect to me. And let's see if that makes any difference. Hail audio. Yeah, I'm still not getting any. Still transmitting no audio. Darn, I was thinking that might be the solution. Let me go back here and go back to testing. See if I still have the signal that I had. Yeah, I still got the signal there. Did it come over here yet? No. Turn the dial here. Well, it blurped there for a second, and then it went away again, huh? Yeah. It should catch one of these, huh? Yeah, it blurped again. That's interesting. I'm getting intermittent signal coming through there when I turn the switch. That is a mechanical switch. I wonder, let's look on the back side here. Yeah, see, it's just a multi-selector switch, just as I suspected, and depending on which terminal that is to that one, it connects those two, and then it connects which crystal for which channel the circuit needs to oscillate on. That's interesting. It's blurping when I do that. I'll tell you what, let me hit it with a little cleaner. I mean, could it be that simple? Go ahead and clean that rheostat. while I'm there. Variable resistors, rheostats. I'm not sure what they call them. I call them rheostats. I know their mechanical form is their variable resistor, and they come in different ohmages. Work that a little bit. Work those a little bit too. I thought I heard a little bit of sound come through there. Interesting. Okay. Flip it back over. Be kind of cool to get this little Teaberry going. Be a cheap radio for somebody wanting just to get into it, and it's not the prettiest. The case, it looks like it got set kind of. I was worried it got the circuit board, but it didn't. But it actually. I actually cut that off right there. It was peeled back and was all rusted, and kind of brushed it off and got all the surface rust off of it. I can throw a little black paint on it and kind of blend it in there, and at least it'll stop the rust, and it won't look as tacky as that vinyl covering they put over this metal was looking, peeling back with all the rust underneath it. But again, I'm rambling on. I don't know if that has anything to do with the repair, but what were we doing here? Oh, we were cleaning the switch. Let me go ahead and hit it on this side too. Be glad when I get this knocked down and get this bench back to some type of working order. I mean, it's in working order, but it's a mess. There's radios everywhere. Yeah, let's see if that made any difference. Hey. That's sound I'm hearing. Let me turn on the RF generator here. RF signal generator. Put her on channel 16. Give her about 2 microvolts. And I'm going to give her about 20% modulation. Let's see what she does. Switch this over to channel 16. Hey. Well, look at that. I'll be dang, boy, I was kind of wild with that stuff. Dry that up a little bit. Probably should have let that dry up before I turned it back on. Anyway, well, that's a good sign. We're definitely halfway there. Now the question is, did that actually bring the modulation back as well? I'm betting it did. Hello. Hello, audio. Yep, sure did. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Wow. Hello, audio. Well, this thing's on peak. It's dead key in 3, swinging 10. Not bad. I told you these little older models, man, they have a little gumption in them. That's cool. I wonder if I've got a CB Tricks on it. What the modulation limit pot is, and go ahead and see if it's opened up. If it has one. This is an older radio. I'm not sure that it does. It might be controlled by a resistor. Yeah, I'm only seeing 2 trimming pots, and I'm not seeing any trim pots to adjust the modulation. So you know what? We're going to leave it alone. It's an old crystal radio anyway. Hell, it's dead key in 3, swinging 10. Why am I wanting to mess with that anyway? Well, guess what, guys? I think that's my fastest repair yet. I just got lucky and started over there in the on the selector as far as tracing the signal or seeing if there was any signal passing through, and sure enough I found an open connection. And what I did was I went ahead and soldered those because those were bad looking. And you know, that's the bad thing about doing 2 things. Maybe it was actually the solder joint and that, but who knows. But anyway, I soldered some connections that looked kind of suspect, and then whenever I was turning the dial to see if I could get it to maybe switch to one of the other ones, I noticed I was getting a blip on the scope. like I was getting a signal for a second, then it'd go away, and when I passed that channel, so it's kind of like swiping by it, but it wasn't holding it. So I just put some my good old electronic cleaner, terminal cleaner, get some of that tarnish off of there, and lo and behold, if the radio hasn't come back to life. Hell, audio, and very well back to life. Okay, cool. Well, this wasn't a real in-depth. Let me go ahead and clean it up, and I'll kind of give you a final review of what I think of this little radio. See how good I can get her to clean up, and we'll go from there. Okay, guys. Well, we've got her all back together. I got her cleaned up best I could. This is an old radio. It's been around a long time. It's I would say definitely 70s. You know, it's kind of amazing if you think about it. This radio's 50 years old, I'm guessing, or very close to it. And you know, the lights still work on it, even the little modulation light. Although it's kind of funny, it's got a red modulation light, but I notice really it's just a TX light. Doesn't matter whether you're modulating or not. It doesn't brightness intensity when you transmit, which kind of threw me earlier when I first looked at it, because I thought, well, I'm getting a modulation, but no, it's just doing transmit. It doesn't really show you modulation. And the little S meter, it's sticky. I actually tapped it and tried to clean it best I could, and I got it to go down. Then the first time I transmitted, it went back up, and it's kind of like it floats. It'll float back down and it'll come back up. But honestly, it's so small and it doesn't do anything. But it's not like it's really just an S meter is all it is. So it's not really doing you a whole lot of good. You can use your ears instead of the meter to tell whether you're receiving something. But it seems to have good ears. That's at 10% modulation. It's at 2% modulation, so really good. And I'm still running at a negative 90 and 2.5 volts. Take her down to 1 volt and about 5% modulation. I'm still getting tone in there, very slight. So the receiver sensitivity is good on this radio. Not bad for 50-year technology. As far as transmit frequency, look at that, 27, 116. So it's right on frequency. Well, I guess it's 11 kilohertz above frequency, but that's pretty much spot on. Actually, it'd be 0.11 kilohertz. But anyway, thought I'd do a little video on it. As I said, I'm just kind of going through these and fixing them as I do, and I kind of enjoy doing these videos and just chatting as we're going along, you know, kind of little fireside chats. But I don't know, this one I kind of got off into the weeds. You know, I got to thinking, you know, I've been putting these videos up. I hope people aren't thinking these are how-to repair videos. These are just videos of me doing a repair and kind of talking along and seeing what I'm doing to repair them, and then kind of giving you a review of, you know, I mean, how many people have even seen a T-Scout Teaberry 23 channel? So I kind of, you know, it's kind of an archive of old radios, new radios. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give a like, subscribe if you would like. It really helped me out. I'm getting real close to that 1,000 subscribers. I'm kind of excited about that. But anyway, have a great day, and we'll talk at you later. This is Electron Man.